Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It is the 20th of August, 2025. Oh, yeah, buddy, what a crazy clown world we're living in. Are you sorting through the propaganda, the horse hockey, the gaslighting? The mainstream media is throwing you bullcrap again. You won't be trusted anymore. All right, welcome to the WTF Reports. I'm your host, Dave vonKleist, and yeah, it's a Wednesday, hump day, don't be a chump day, don't you dare crump day. And we're broadcasting live from 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and that's 11 a.m. Pacific Time. And that's, of course, 12 noon Mountain Time and 1 p.m. Central Time. Yeah, wherever you're listening, if you're listening during those times, you're listening live, which means you can call in. Yeah, the phone number here is 215-867-8255. And I always encourage people, if they're going to call in, please stay on topic, or if you've got something that you want to bring to the table, you're welcome to do that too. But anyway, this broadcast is brought to you in part by the Wave Watch, and I've been using mine for quite some time now for several different things. Sleep is good. Yeah, when you get up in years, you know, sometimes you don't get as much sleep as you'd like. You know, I got used to getting by with about 5 hours. I started using this for sleep, and I'm up to 7 hours. I slept for 7.5 hours yesterday. Well, not last night, but the night before. So, hey, look, if you want to check this out, go to our website, TheWTFReports.com, click on the sponsors page, and check out the Wave Watch. And if you decide to get one, you will get $100 off if you use the promo code REDPILL100. Based on Tesla technology, Royal Raymond Rife figured out that frequencies help you. And that's why this Wave Watch is so cool, because it's a Rife machine you wear on your wrist. Check it out. And by the way, if you've been using one, I would always open the phone lines to you. If you want to tell me about how it's affected you, I'd love to hear your testimonial. So keep that in mind. Again, the phone number here is 215-867-8255. Okay, I'm going to start off today talking a little bit about music. Now, we all know that music is very important to everybody, okay? And we know that music is a very powerful influencer. And we know that, well, if you go back in time, remember when the Beatles did All You Need Is Love? That was broadcast worldwide live. And people all over the world tuned in to hear that message in many different languages, All You Need Is Love. And you know what? That was the first time in history that so many people from so many countries, from so many cultures had tuned in. And at that point in time, no political or religious leader had ever reached that many people at once. And that scared the powers that be to death. The whole world, not everybody was a Beatlemaniac, but everybody knew the Beatles' music, even if they didn't speak English. They knew the lyrics. They may not know what the lyrics meant, but they could sing along with the Beatles' music. That's how powerful the musical message was. And of course, John Lennon came out with Give Peace a Chance. That got them all upset too. So the point is that, and I do believe this is why John Lennon was taken out, because he'd gone into retirement, self-imposed hiatus for about 5 years, and when he said, hey, look, I'm going to come out and do it again, I think the powers that be said, no, we're not going to have that again. So anyway, that's a long story. But the point is that music is very, very powerful. And this is why I wrote a whole bunch of music. It's all out there on YouTube, and if you want to listen to it, go to YouTube and just type in my name. They'll all pop up there. All 3 albums are out there. And I'm very proud to say that, a lot of the lyrics, they stand true today. And I haven't changed my tune. Get it? I haven't changed my tune a bit. And it all still is valid. But I wanted to bring that up because there are musicians out there. For the longest time, it wasn't politically correct to do anything that has had any social commentary. But what's been happening in the past several years it's refreshing. I mean, Anthony Oliver came out with that song, the Rich Men North of Richmond, and that thing has gone viral. If you haven't checked him out, check him out. Go to YouTube and type in Anthony Oliver and listen to his song, The Rich Men North of Richmond. And it's a very powerful song. And then there's Tom MacDonald. Now, Tom MacDonald, he's an odd bird. I first heard of him, maybe 3 years ago. And he makes music and videos. It's mostly a lot of rap, and that's not necessarily my genre. But the lyric that he's throwing out there, and I got to say, 3 years ago, he looked like a Satan worshiper. And, I mean, he's got a lot of facial tattoos and piercings, and his hair is all braided and straight, and he looks kind of, demonic. However, in the past year, he's really sort of cleaned up his act a bit, and he is going at it. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to play a little clip. He just released this song last Friday. I'm just going to play a piece of it here. Hopefully I won't get into trouble. But he's going after Gavin Newsom and all the liberal Democrats. Listen to this.
The devil lives in California. He a politician. He passing bills that bring chaos and division. Yeah, the devil lives in California. Should be in prison. He got horns, but he tries to keep them hidden. Cause the devil is a Democrat. And we don't play that. They say that. They love America. We know it ain't that. The devil is a Democrat. And we ain't with it. We ain't switching. Y'all are tripping. I guess God just built us different.
Okay, I can only play a little bit or else I'm going to get into trouble. But the point is that you can go online and listen to the whole song. You wouldn't believe the lyrics in this thing, And so, hey, kudos, dude. He's going after him. So, and then there's also Iyah May. Iyah May, she is a beautiful Australian woman. She's blonde, blue-haired, absolutely a gorgeous woman, and she's a doctor. Yeah, she's a physician. And she dabbled in music, and she wanted to throw her hat into the ring as far as getting music out there. And she did a song about 1.5 years, 2 years ago called Carmageddon. And her manager wanted her to dump those lyrics. He says, no. He says, if you don't change that, I can't work with you anymore. And she said, bye. And she let him go. And she released it independently, and the song has gone viral all over the world. Again, the song is called Carmageddon by Iyah May, and she's just come out with a follow-up, and it's called Everything is Fine. And she just released that a couple of days ago, and I got to tell you, she's hitting it on the head too. I mean, this new breed of musicians are telling it like it is. So here's a little piece of Iyah May.
Here's some genocide on a Monday. Very Epstein file in the red tape. I ain't gonna reach only God is upon me. Like, oh, praying on a Sunday. They call me Rebel Taylor Swift cause I give a shit, selling fear for clicks. If the world goes up in smoke, is this some kind of joke? Coconuts and palm trees, damn, like that's the shit they want. See, don't ever stress, baby we blessed. Getting to dead, it feels the best. Here's your 100th booster, don't you choose another option. Trust the science, baby, side effects are not our problem. It's cool, I found a groove, cruising down that.
What a great tune. I'm proud of this girl, It's good to hear that musicians out there that are actually, having the guts to put it all out there. Now, I was doing that 30 years ago, and of course, it wasn't too popular then. Maybe a little while after the 9/11 attacks. But again, if you start talking about politics or anything like that, you're usually blackballed, and that's exactly what was going to happen to Iyah May. If she didn't, dump her lyrics, well, she said, hey, she popped up the middle finger and said goodbye, and she's doing it on her own. And I think the world is ready now. I really do. I think that what's happening on a global scale right now, the whole world is ready to revolt. And that's, actually, when you think about it, that's what the world needs. We've got to get rid of the globalist manipulators who have been, pulling the strings for not just hundreds of years, but for thousands. For the past couple thousand years, there are dark forces and bloodlines and families that have just basically taken over everything. This country is an occupied nation. And yours truly was screaming about it many, many years ago, but I guess, none's so deaf than those with ears that will not hear, as they say. But I wanted to share that with you because, this music is that's coming out it's going viral. And by the way, they always push Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift. She's, influencing all our little girls all over the country. So with that, I would ask if you've heard Taylor Swift, and I don't listen to her too much, but if I had to choose between Taylor Swift and Iyah May, hands down, goodbye Taylor Swift. Iyah May is just as wholesome as she could be. And she's not, not out there, trying to, be involved in any type of satanic rituals on stage or anything like that, like Taylor Swift is. So I'm just curious to know, anybody out there, are you familiar with any of these tunes? Do you like them? I kind of do. Anyway, I just wanted to share that, go off on a musical tangent here in the beginning, because music is extremely powerful, and it's a very useful and effective tool for communication. And that's one of the reasons why, like I said, the powers that be, they don't like it when people get out there and having, some social commentary in their music, because it's so influential. So kudos to Iyah May, kudos to Tom MacDonald, kudos to anybody else, to Anthony Oliver and anyone else who's saying something in their music and their lyrics. And it makes me I feel validated. I really do. Okay, that said, let me see, where do I go? There's just so much that's coming out. You want to hear, this is the WTF of the week. The Anti-Defamation League, the ADL. Well, personally, I call them the Anti-Defecation League because I think they're full of crap. But they have put out a statement now. Get this, here we go. It is now going to be considered racist and anti-Semitic if you dare say America first. That's right. If you are out there saying America first, according to the Anti-Defamation League, you're a racist and an anti-Semite. I'll tell you, they are doing everything they can. I mean, they're pulling their wagons into a circle. The whole world is now starting to look at Israel and the Jews, all of them. And this is why good Jews all over the world, you've got to stand up against Israel, because you're going to be facing the consequences from people who don't understand the difference between Zionism and Judaism. They're being all lumped in together. And of course, you're not getting any help from the likes of Dan Bongino. I should look up that clip about a year ago. He was saying all these Hamas supporters out there, that they're supporting terrorism and they hate Jews. No, they hate Zionism. They hate Zionism. There's a big, big difference. And this is why Jews around the world have got to stand up. What's going on over there in Palestine, is this good for you? Are you happy about that? I mean, and as far as, even if you're not Jewish, if you're just an American, are you happy with this? Trump has said, look at, this is not our war. This is between Israel and Hamas and blah, blah, blah. And he says, I'm out of this. No, you're not, Donald Trump. Because as long as we keep sending money and bombs and tanks and jets and all the weapons of war over there, we are up to our eyeballs in this. Because all you got to do is shut it off. Say, look, we're not going to supply you with any more arms. They would be done. D-U-N, done in a New York minute. If the U.S. shut off all those supplies to Israel, they couldn't do what they were doing. In fact, they might face the ire of all the surrounding nations that are up to their eyeballs in Israel bombing everybody. Yeah, they were just bombing Damascus a couple days ago. Yeah, Libya. And that's because they have a plan for, quote unquote, greater Israel. We talked about that a couple days ago. But I mean, unless Jews all over the country and all over the world start standing up, against Israel's genocide, and yes, it is a genocide, you'll face the consequences. Now, there's a guy, his name is Anthony Aguilar. He's Special Forces, and he got kicked out because he was voicing his opinion and his disdain for working for Israel. Here's what he had to say.
Today, at around 9 a.m., I got a phone call from the Special Forces Association parachute team, of which I was a part of. We did demonstration jumps for Special Forces. And I was told that I was being I was no longer a member of the team because of my speaking out against Israel. Wow.
Against a foreign military.
Yeah. So from the Special Forces Association parachute team, of which I've been a member as a Green Beret, I was, as of this morning, called. Sorry, you can't be on the team anymore. You know, you with your position on speaking out against Israel, we can't have you representing the Special Forces Association. Really? Wow. That should be telling to so many people that hear this that I swore an oath to the Constitution of the United States of America, not to a foreign government or a foreign military. And if anyone thinks that they're going to intimidate me into not telling the truth over being part of a club, get out of here, because the truth is more important.
Mm-hmm. And this is how it works, folks. You speak out against Israel, you're in trouble. You know, and it's obvious. Again, members of Congress, the Senate, members of people high-ranking in the corporate positions, the media, Hollywood, big agra, big pharma, big oil. You look at all the people who are in the powerful positions, and you're going to see that star right there. And it's not a star of Judaism. It's a star of Zionism. And people are starting to understand that now. Matter of fact, even CNN let the cat out of the bag. Apparently, it was a statement had been made in Israel that if one Jewish child dies, 50,000 Palestinian children have to die. Yeah, and this was on CNN. Listen to this.
So this came out just a couple of days ago. It was leaked audio recordings from Israel's Channel 12 News. This is Major General Aharon Haliva, who is the former head of Israeli military intelligence. In part of these lengthy leaked audio recordings, he says here, and I'm quoting from the hostages, from the recordings, the fact that there are already 50,000 dead in Gaza is necessary and required for future generations. He says, and I'm quoting again here, for everything that happened on October 7th, for every one person on October 7th, 50 Palestinians must die. It doesn't matter now if they are children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, they reference October 7th. October 7th. Here we go again. It's like the Holocaust. 6 million. Our greatest ally. A right to defend themselves. Hamas. October 7th. October 7th. October 7th. And I've been telling you folks for quite some time, there is a documentary out there that you really need to see. And let me see. It's the title of it here. Israel was behind the attacks on October 7th, and it was an inside job. And it's a documentary by John Hankey. Now, I have a short clip here of a woman who worked for the IDF. And this is an excerpt from this documentary. And there are many former IDF soldiers that have come out and said that this whole October 7th thing does not make sense. There's no way it could have happened the way the powers that be told you. Anyway, this is a quick excerpt. I don't know what this girl's name is, but you can listen to what she has to say.
Israel has one of the most advanced and high-tech armies. How come there was zero response to the border and fence breaching? I cannot understand that. Personally, I served in the IDF 25 years ago in the intelligence forces. There's no way, in my view, that Israel did not know of what's coming. A cat moving alongside the fence is triggering all forces. So what happened to the strongest army in the world? How come border crossings were wide open? Something is very wrong here. Something is very strange. This chain of events is very unusual and not typical for the Israeli defense system. The current government is highly corrupt in my view, while the previous one was no better. I don't care about having a popular opinion. I care about exposing evil forces wherever and whomever they are. So to me, this surprise attack seems like a planned operation on all fronts. If I was a conspiracy theorist, I would say that this feels like the work of the deep state.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And again, she's former IDF, and she's not the only one. Again, I highly recommend and I implore you, we've got to somehow overcome this chant of October 7th, October 7th. because it was an inside job. Look at this documentary. It'll blow your mind. Not only that, but they've got the videos that were taken from the helicopters that were firing on Israelis. Yeah, the helicopters, the Israeli helicopters. Because, the Palestinians, Hamas doesn't have helicopters. They had light aircraft. They flew in there with these little, with a parachute on the top. I mean, anybody who's buying that this is a war, I mean, my gosh, the Palestinians, Hamas doesn't have an army. They don't have an air force. They don't have a navy, I mean, and Hamas, again, I've played numerous clips from former high-ranking Israeli officials who admit that Hamas was being funded by and supported by the Israeli government. They need a boogeyman to have an excuse to go in there and do what they're doing because they want the land, they want the resources. And oh, by the way, there are leases now being sold to go ahead and start drilling for oil and natural gas. RT reported a year ago that geologic surveys had revealed that there's nearly $500 billion, like 490 billion dollars worth of oil and gas underneath Palestine. Oh, and there's also the plans for a Ben Gurion canal that was going to go right through Gaza. They want to build a canal so that they can basically have more control over the trade routes and, take that business away from the Suez Canal. So, I mean, it's all about the money, folks. It really, really, really is. So, as a matter of fact, there's a Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson. He was he's an ex-chief of staff, and he came out and said the following. And again, we're talking U.S. military here. This is, again, Lawrence Wilkerson.
Israel has been under the UN Charter as an occupying power and under Geneva since 1967. It has never fulfilled its responsibilities as an occupying power, never intended to fulfill them. In fact, it has dispossessed the Palestinians of their lands, of their orchards, destroyed their homes, killed their children. It is an irresponsible, under the law, occupying power. Therefore, the Palestinians had every right to do what they did on October the 7th. That is not very comfortable in Washington to make that kind of statement, especially not amongst Jewish Americans or people who are tightly tied to Israel. But it is the facts. Let me preface these remarks with I never, ever believe Israeli figures. I've been in the government too long to know that the Israelis are patent liars. In their intelligence community, in their propaganda community, certainly, and in their leadership, they are inveterate liars. Let me say that again. They are liars. So you can't believe anything that comes out of Jerusalem. It's all propaganda.
Yeah, it is. It is all propaganda. So, it's crazy that so many people here in the United States continue to buy into this issue about, Israel has the right to defend itself. And they attack themselves. And, anybody who speaks out against them, boy, God help you. The Young Turks, Anna Kasparian, she has been on a rant and talking about hatred. Oh, my gosh. And, of course, the threats are coming in. Oh, gosh. Marjorie Taylor Greene has been taking a lot of heat. But here's Anna Kasparian and a couple of others talking about Israeli hate.
They love to talk about how, the Palestinian children deserve to be slaughtered because they're taught to hate. But if you look at videos online, there's tons of them. It seems like a lot of young Israelis are just taught to hate the Palestinians.
These are the settlers in waiting, keen to start a new life, to annex Gaza for Israel.
Okay, I'm going to pause it for a second because you're going to hear from a couple of Israelis and how they feel about the Palestinians. Here they go.
What are the Palestinians who live in Gaza now?
I just think we need to kill them, every one of them, and that's it.
You need to destroy their offspring to prevent them from creating more offspring.
What am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to love that? I'm supposed to sit here on this show and talk about how wonderful Israel is? No, they're committing a genocide, and the vast majority of people in that country love it.
Last poll I saw, 82% of Israeli Jews said, keep going in Gaza.
Mm-hmm. And there's actually a T-shirt. I've seen the T-shirt. It shows a pregnant woman with crosshairs on her, and underneath it says, 1 shot, 2 kills. This is the mentality. And you just heard that one woman, and she's not the only one. I've heard many others that say, yes, we have to kill the children. Yeah, every single one of them, because they will grow up to hate us. Well, what do you expect? My gosh, I mean, and these are God's chosen people? How can anybody stand and believe that? Unreal. Anyway, a quick pause for the cause.
Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary.
And, of course, you can get more tank if you visit our website, TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors page, and there's a window down there, and it'll take you to the Get More Tank website with all the specifications and details about how and why this fuel catalyst works. That's right, it's a catalyst, not a fuel additive. It's a catalyst. It makes your engine much more efficient. The burn is at a lower temperature, and it's a lot cleaner, and you get more power. And over a period of time, you're going to see increased mileage, anywhere between 15 and 20%, depending upon your make, model, and year of vehicle and your driving habits. So, this is, like I keep saying, this is a no-brainer. This is a win-win. $20 with the promo code gets you 5 tablets, and each one is for a tank of gas. And I promise you, after you've used a couple of tanks of gas, you will see how good this stuff is. So, go to our website, TheWTFReports.com, and get more tank. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna grab a hold of Andy Stewart and have him join me maybe on Friday. So, and he'll be able to tell you a little bit more about it. And by the way, if you've used Get More Tank, give me a call. Yeah, right now. I want to hear from you. 215-867-8255. That's 215-867-8255. Yeah, well, there's a lot of hatred in this world, and it's been going on for a long time. I'm going to turn the clock back about 30 years. This is a song off of my first album, and it's all about generated, fabricated, perpetrated hate.
Some people hate me 'cause of words that I sing. Some people hate me 'cause I'm doing my thing. Some people hate me 'cause of words that I say. That doesn't stop me, gonna say them anyway. Some people hate me 'cause of thoughts that I think. Some people hate me 'cause I don't like to drink. Some people hate me 'cause I won't live their life. Some people hate and they don't even know why. Some people hate 'cause they just won't understand. Some people just ignore the laws of the land. Some people hate 'cause they don't know how to love. Some people don't acknowledge God up above. Some people hate and say there's folks hating them, and so they vilify, coerce, and condemn. Some people hate because it's all that they know. Don't wanna hear that ye shall reap what ye sow. Some people hate because there's money to make. Their faith faces on TV, the action news break. Just for a moment, if they'd open their eyes, they'd understand and they could see through the lies. They demonize, they ridicule and berate. They show contempt before they examinate. They say they're righteous, but they live like a sleaze. They lie and slander, and they do it with ease. It's up to us to show the others the way. Set the example, we can do that today. Show all our countrymen we've nothing to hide. We've got the Constitution on our side. Next time you're told that there are people to hate, to know your foe you must investigate. You just might find out somewhere somebody lied. You could discover that you're on the wrong side. Sometimes we all have got to swallow our pride. We've got the Constitution on our side.
Boom, boom. That's my song about hate. Yeah, what's changed in the past 30 years? I don't know. But it just seems to me that the media and the powers that be, those pulling the strings, they have to have division. They have to pit the right versus the left, the white versus the black, the libs versus the conservatives. Oh, yes, the Christians versus the Jews versus the Muslims versus this versus that. Everybody has to be hating on each other. And to that, I say, hey, wait a second. No. All you red people on this side of the room, all you blue people on that side of the room, okay? Do you like war? No. Do you? No. Okay, good. Do you like Big Pharma? No. Do you? No. Good. Do you like the military-industrial complex? No. Do you? No. Do you like forced lockdowns and forced hokey-pokey thingy-dingies? No. We got so much in common. We really do. And if we could just get the blinders off of our eyes and stop listening to the mainstream media shoving, blue Kool-Aid down your throat 24/7, or in some cases, red Kool-Aid. It works both ways. That's why I have nothing but contempt for the news networks, and that includes some of the conservative news networks. They're just standing, oh my gosh, for Israel first. It's just crazy. And like I just said, the Anti-Defamation League has declared that if you say Israel first, you're a racist and an anti-Semite. It's insanity. And across the pond, Muslims get to pray in the streets and shut down London. They get to, get their prayer mats out whenever it's time for them to do their prayers. Wherever they are, in the middle of the street, they just put their prayer mats down and they shut the entire city down, and that's fine. And if you say anything against that, you're under arrest. And not only that, but if you're a Christian, if you dare pray. There was a video of a woman who was standing outside of a church, and she was praying silently, all by herself. And the police came and arrested her. I mean, this is a clown world. This is crazy. Anyway, here's a little bit of an audio about just what I was just talking about. Here it is.
I should be really clear. Praying in of itself is not an offence under this bill. We are not banning prayer under the Act.
Performative prayer. If you're standing at a window with your hands together in front of your face in that classic kind of, that classic image of prayer. If you're standing at a window so people can see you.
Okay, I'm going to pause it. He's describing a situation where a woman was in her own house, and she just happened to be near a window, and she had her hands together in prayer. Unbelievable.
Then, could it be interpreted as an offence?
That then depends on who's passing the window and whether anybody
so he's not
can
wrong,
actually...
Whoa, it depends on who's passing the window. Wait a minute. We got the Muslims that are shutting down traffic in all the major thoroughfares, and that's okay. But if you're in your own house and you're praying and somebody walks by and happens to see you, you're in trouble?
No, he's not wrong. He is wrong because if... I don't know anyone that can pray loudly or performatively enough to be seen from outside their own house.
Unreal. So yeah, we are living in a clown world. And the sad thing is that people are starting to see it all over the world. Now, again, that's from the UK. Okay? As a matter of fact, let me see if I can find it here. In New Zealand, let me see if I can find that. In New Zealand, they actually are having common law trials, and they are basically, bringing all of their elected officials up on charges of treason. Let me see. I'm scrolling through here. I know I had it up here someplace. Where is it? No, that's not it either. There's so much going out there. I'll tell you, the social media platforms have become the source of information. Between TikTok, Instagram, and X, there is so much information being put out there. And they say, oh, come on, you're not getting your news from that. Well, the point is people are posting from news broadcasts all over the world. So this isn't, just there are plenty of people that are just posting, garbage out there. But, there are other people who are doing serious, deep research. And they're coming up with all kinds of very interesting information. And let me see if I can't particularly, is that it? No, that's not it. All right, well, I'll get to that at some other time when I'm playing another audio clip. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. Speaking of on topic, you can't burn an American. You can burn an American flag because it's your exercise of free speech, but you can't burn an Israeli flag. No, sirree, Bob. Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene on that topic.
You can burn any flag in the United States of America, including our own American flag, except you can't burn the Israeli flag in America.
Who said that?
Judge McFadden.
In what context?
In his court. It just happened.
Well, that's not going to be upheld.
Shouldn't be.
That's a violation of the First Amendment, blatant, and it will be struck down as soon as it goes up on appeal. What a ridiculous notion. Look, I have a lot of very, very close friends who are Jewish, who are very big supporters of Israel. And some faction of them will say, like, well, why would you platform an MTG? She's definitely gone anti-Israel. And I don't care whether you're anti-Israel or not. Any anti-Israel people are welcome here. Of course. You're allowed to have that view. We're just getting to a place now. The more you tell me I can't talk to somebody or about something, the more I'm guaranteed going to do it. No one owns me. And I don't like it, Marjorie. I have to tell you, I don't like it because this is America. You're allowed to have your view. Israel's not America.
That's right. Okay, and that was Megyn Kelly talking to Marjorie Taylor Greene, and this is truth. I mean, what do they say? They say if you want to know who's in control, pay attention to who you're not allowed to criticize. Whoa, that is rather telling, don't you think? Yeah. So I mean, this is where we're at, folks. It's crazy. That's why I keep saying it's a clown world. But you know what? There are a lot of people out there that are realizing that if they're Jewish, they're in deep trouble unless they start standing up against this maniacal, genocidal regime that has taken over the government of Israel. Now, again, Revelation 2:9 and 3:9 basically indicates, words of Jesus says, there are those who call themselves Jews, but they are not. In other words, they're imposters. And again, if you look at the entire cabinet, Netanyahu's entire cabinet, not one of them is from the Middle East. They're all from Eastern Europe. They're from any place but the Middle East, including Netanyahu. His roots are Polish. He spent a lot of time in Brooklyn as a kid, but he didn't have any ties whatsoever with the Middle East or with Palestine or Israel, whichever way you want to look at it. But there's a guy named Mark Braverman, and he's basically saying it's difficult now to be Jewish. Listen to this.
How to be a Jew after the ethnic cleansing of Palestine. I'm a Jew born in America in 1948. I go to Palestine, and I find out that we have driven out an entire population, and we're engaged in a process of ethnically cleansing an indigenous population, a beautiful, wonderful culture. The Jewish story of today is not the story of our suffering in the past, which gives us total innocence and the right to do whatever we want. Our story of today is the story of what we are doing to another people. Our story is the Nakba, what the Palestinians call the catastrophe, their Holocaust. And if we do not understand that this is our story, we are done for. And I tell you, Rabbi, that the day will come when we will be on our knees in contrition and beating our breasts in shame for what we have done. And may that day come speedily and in our times, as the Jewish prayer goes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there are a lot of people. And you know what? You don't have to be Jewish to have, self-loathing over allowing this to happen. And again, I point the finger directly at us, at we Americans. Because with our silence, again, silence is consent. Do you consent to what's going on over there? Do you believe that the IDF is justified in going in there and doing what they're doing? And again, I remind you, there's a video going on, and I mentioned it, was it yesterday, the day before, of a little girl, couldn't have been more than like maybe 8 years old, 9 years old, and her family had already been martyred, and they always say martyred instead of saying killed, but the point is that she's carrying a jug of water, this little girl, and she gets droned. It's on video. I mean, she's walking across the rubble, and all of a sudden, and she's gone. Now, how can you justify this? I mean, you can't. And this is why I'm saying we as Americans, we should be on the phone calling our representatives and our senators saying, what are you doing? Why are you allowing this to happen? Why are we continuing to send more and more money over there to this corrupt, maniacal, satanic, sadistic group of people? And I'm not saying all Jews are like that, but we do know now that a good amount, a large segment of the Israeli population, they're behind this. I mean, they support this. You just heard them. Yeah, we have to kill all the children. They've got observation posts where they bus in kids, and they got these binoculars. You could stand there and look into Palestine and watch the bombing go on. And they're having dances and they're cheering and I think this is great. What is wrong with these people? This is where our world is right now. I don't know how it's going to get turned around, because if they don't turn it around, there's going to be hell to pay. So I would say, if you're an American, if you love this country, and if you value humanity, you should be on your phone calling your representatives and your senators saying, you've got to stop this support for Israel. And if you're taking money from AIPAC, you need to give back every single penny. Because, if you're just accepting money, then you're being bribed. As I refer to that old joke, the guy that says to the woman, he says, hey, will you go to bed with me for $1 million? And she says, well, okay. Then he says, would you go to bed with me for $1? And she says, well, what do you think I am? He said, we already know what you are. We're just negotiating a price. Well, apply that towards your elected official. Would you betray your country for $1? Oh, come on, no. I took an oath to the Constitution. I'm an American. Okay. Would you betray your country for $1,000? Oh, stop it. No, I wouldn't. Would you betray your country for $100,000? Yeah, that's where we're at. It's all about the money, folks. And that's why I'm saying I don't care if it's a star or a cross or a crescent moon and a star, and a star, or a Buddha or an Ankh. It's the dollar sign is what is worshipped in this country, and indeed in the Western world itself. And I'm sorry, but we remember Saddam Hussein was calling the United States and the West the Great Satan. Well, if it's deeds and not words, if Jesus said, I shall know ye by your fruits, well then, if the shoe fits. So I'm just, I'm not trying to shame everybody. Well, yeah, in a sense I am, because we're all to blame, all of us, because we become complacent and apathetic. We've had it, the past couple of generations have had it pretty doggone good. The newer generation, though, the young ones today, I feel terrible, because they can't even afford to keep their head above water as far as finances are concerned. There are many, the entire generation now is starting to realize that chances are they will never have the opportunity to own a home because of the economy. and amongst other things. And of course, there's still more information coming out about what happened with the hokey pokey thingy dingy. And there's all this information now. I mean, I was playing clips from Naomi Wolf and Del Bigtree and many others pointing out the horrendous side effects from the hokey pokey thingy dingy jabby dabby. Okay, and meanwhile, Tedros at the UN, they're shaking in their boots. They're trying to figure out how can they stop the floodgates of all the information getting out there on social media. And so they want to go after, they want to have some sort of a way to shut down what they call misinformation, what they call propaganda. But actually, the truth is getting out and they can't stand it. Here's Tedros.
Internet and social media platforms have given people unprecedented access to health information, but they have also turbocharged the spread of mis and disinformation, which has contributed to mistrust in vaccines and other health interventions, fueled stigma and discrimination, and even led to violence against health workers and marginalized groups. During the COVID-19 pandemic, falsehoods about masks, vaccines, and lockdowns spread as fast as the virus itself.
You mean the truth was getting out there? And now we're finding out over and over that they did lie to us. I mean, they told us, remember early on during the pandemic, they said you can't be taking ivermectin. No, that's horse dewormer. No, and any doctor who had the audacity to prescribe ivermectin was being threatened with their license being pulled. In some cases, they were pulled. And then, of course, there was hydroxychloroquine, which we also know now, which was very effective. Matter of fact, some of these medications have been around for decades and decades, and I believe what is the hydroxychloroquine? The person who developed that won a Nobel Prize. But of course, when that didn't fit the narrative, so they had to demonize it and ridicule anybody who dared to even think about that. And now they've come out and said ivermectin works. Yes, you can use it now. Yeah, okay. So no wonder there's a loss of trust in the medical establishment, in the CDC and the FDA. People have to understand that the CDC is a vaccine company. They make money from vaccines. And of course, they're in bed with the FDA. They just rush these things through and get them out there and put them on the schedule for the kids. And now we're finding out over and over that the horrendous side effects that people are having, it's heartbreaking. I mean, the miscarriage rate has gone up, it's 800%. 800%. And a lot of people all over the world are realizing exactly what happened here. Yes, these are crimes against humanity. Yes, this was a plan for global depopulation. Yes, they knew about this. They had the documents. That's why they wanted to hide them for 75 years. And meanwhile, in New Zealand, they are having their own common law courts because they can't trust their elected officials to give them justice. And as a matter of fact, here's a little bit of an audio. As a matter of fact, this was broadcast in Australia on the Australian Broadcast Corporation about how these officials had broken the Nuremberg Code. Listen to this.
The new armies are self-appointed law enforcement groups.
The defendants, in this case, former Prime Minister Scott Morrison, on the charge of human trafficking.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This common law court is now in session.
They held their first common law court case in 2022. On trial were the people who imposed the mandates during COVID.
Has the jury reached a verdict on all charges?
Yes.
Their jury finds the then Prime Minister Scott Morrison and all the state premiers guilty of multiple crimes.
On the charge of violation of the Nuremberg Code, how does the jury find the defendants?
Guilty.
On the charge of genocide.
Guilty.
On the charge of human trafficking.
Guilty on the charges of human trafficking. After a really good lengthy discussion, the jury have agreed that with all the defendants on the charges of fraud, the remedy will start off with a minimum of 30 years for each defendant.
Duly noted. The people have decided. And that is it.
And that's what needs to happen here in the United States and indeed around the world. Because the people who were behind this, it is irrefutable now. All the data is in. It's undeniable. It's overwhelming. And yes, these people need to be held accountable. They need to face justice and let the punishment fit the crime. Now, I remind you that in his first term, President Trump signed Executive Order 13818 and 13848. Now, 13818 had to do with election interference. And if anybody is found guilty of being involved with election interference, they can not only face jail time, depending upon what their level of involvement is, but I mean, we're talking treason, and we know what the penalty for high treason is. Well, not only that, but if you're found guilty of that crime, you can have all your assets seized. You think about like Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg and all the alphabet news networks that were lying to the American people when it came to the election. They said election deniers. Well, as that all information comes out, they will be found guilty. They will be complicit. And can you imagine if all of their assets are seized, returned to the American people? And then there's Executive Order 13848, which has to do with crimes against humanity, and that includes human trafficking. And again, if you're found guilty of being involved in one way or another, you can have your assets seized. Can you imagine the ramifications? And I think it needs to happen. Well, you want to get the United States out of debt? Yeah, was it $38 trillion now? Well, let's add up all of the assets of the people like Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates and George Soros, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, I know, maybe this is hopium, maybe it's hope porn. But I mean, if there is ever any justice, maybe that's what has to happen. Hit them where they live, in their pockets. And, again, let the punishment fit the crime. Because a lot of people now are starting to say, they're posting pictures of nooses and gallows and guillotines and all kinds of stuff. People are really getting ticked off now. And, well, they should. Thing is going to have to get off their big fat butts and get involved. And again, I implore everybody, call your representative, call your senator, and say, look, if you're taking money from AIPAC, I don't care if you're red, I don't care if you're blue, but if you're taking money from AIPAC, you got to go. That's just the way it is. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for today's installment, this Wednesday Hump Day, Don't Be a Chump Day, Don't You Ever Crump Day version of the WTF Reports. As always, I thank you for your listenership, and you can respond by supporting this broadcast. Go to our website, the WTF Reports, pick up some Get More Tank, get yourself a Wave Watch. Hey, we got merch there, too. We got baseball caps and T-shirts and coffee mugs, and hey, that's how you help us keep the lights on. All right, that said, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen tomorrow. The country's supposed to shut down, all the people that say, hey, we've had enough of this crap over there in Palestine. So we'll see what happens. Until then, God bless you all. Stay safe, stay free, and I will see you tomorrow.
Anymore.